So Oberon's rework went live 2 days ago, and my god did it cause a stir. Plenty of split opinions on whether it was in fact a buff to Oberon or a nerf, or if his abilities were broken and not working as intended, and that's kind of why I held off on my video. I decided not to do it straight away because something just didn't feel right. Now you now need to use multiple abilities to get the same benefits that Oberon had given us pre-rework, and by that I mean the armor buff that you used to get from Hallowed Ground now needs renewal in order to work on top of it, which makes him an incredibly energy hungry Warframe, which adds to that little bit of disappointment. So synergy my arse. Now also his Hallowed Ground looked like crap visually, but they have since patched that out. Now I've joked on plenty of my live streams that I think Oberon and Hydroid are the worst Warframes in the game, and I didn't do that because I hated them. I joked about it because I really wanted both of those frames to get a decent rework. So when they announced a little over a week ago that Oberon was going to get a rework, I was pretty damn excited. I thought finally it had paid off. So before I go ahead and share my opinion, let me know what you guys think of Oberon in the comment section below this video. Do you think he is better or worse than he was before these changes? And make sure to let the devs know on the Warframe forums as well, because blind praise isn't going to help anyone, and feedback and constructive criticism should always be welcomed. So this is just my opinion, remember, it's my own personal feedback. First off, I would have liked to have seen Oberon get a proper rework with some new abilities and not just a tweak to his older ones, but that's just me, and one of my biggest gripes with this rework is the so-called synergy needed in order to make Oberon function. The synergy doesn't work and is kind of gimped by range and of course increasing energy costs. Reckoning and Renewal both need enemies or teammates to be on top of his Hallowed Ground to get the new bonus effects, your armor buff for teammates and the armor debuff for enemies. But Hallowed Ground's maximum range is something close to 20 meters in an arc in front of you. That's half of the range of Reckoning and 1/3 of the range of Renewal. So outside of that 20 meters, you're not getting the benefit of either of those abilities, Renewal or Reckoning. If players or enemies are beyond Hallowed Ground, they're not going to get those buffs. You're immediately restricted to close quarters only if you want to get the most out of Hallowed Ground, which is fine if you're playing a defense mission only to give your teammates that armor buff, but according to a post on Reddit by someone called Hulo Humans, nice name by the way, Hallowed Ground actually covers less of an area than it did before the rework because it had more range before the rework, so its area of coverage has been slightly nerfed. Now for me personally, I think that it needs its range ramped up by a lot in order to get the benefits of both Renewal and Reckoning. Maybe allow your Oberon to cast it in a larger radius around him or in a much larger cone out in front of him, but right now it just feels like it's too short and you kind of have to cast multiple Hallowed Grounds if you want to get the most out of it. By the way, the build I'm using on my Oberon in this footage has got 235% range, which is about 22 meters on my Hallowed Ground, which isn't a lot considering it's almost a maximum range build. The scaling of Oberon's smite was pretty broken when the update first landed, and I'm sure most of you have heard of or have seen the infamous battle on YouTube between Brozim and the level 1 heavy gunner. Some say that that gunner is still going strong and has since won that battle and celebrated with a rusty corrupted teabagging of Brozim's corpse. So Smite's damage scaled up, but it also scaled down as well, which made no sense whatsoever. They have since hotfixed this last night to increase Smite's scaling to be 35% of enemies' health and shields, and have also added base damage to the ability so it's better than it was before. Oberon's Renewal ability, his healing ability, is now an energy draining toggled ability that drains 2 energy a second and an additional 3 energy a second for each target currently being healed, which is a pretty big energy drain for any Warframe, let alone Oberon, who can have a maximum of about 450 energy, I think, with a primed flow. Giving Oberon a larger energy pool with this update would have been nice to help combat that energy drain, or some kind of passive energy regen like what, say, Saren has. This might have also helped combat the fact that we now need to cast so many of Oberon's abilities to make him function. His Reckoning ability is still a mid-tier damage dealing ability. Oberon is and will always be a support Warframe for me. I've never modded him for Reckoning for that damage dealing because, let's be honest, it's never been great. For me, it's always been about support from healing or the radiation effects. Reckoning will now strip armor, but like I said earlier, enemies need to be on Hallowed Ground for that to happen, which is only half the range of Reckoning, so you're going to get plenty of enemies that won't be on Hallowed Ground, and by the time you actually strip that armor with Reckoning, the enemy chances are will already have been killed by a teammate, or your weapon will have stripped its armour a lot quicker. Renewal and Hallowed Ground have the potential to make Oberon a very good Warframe and viable at higher levels if they just increase the range of the Hallowed Ground and maybe increase the chance of the radiation effect, which I think is also affected by power strength, your actual status chance with that radiation effect. So long story short, the rework feels a little bit rushed. The synergy is very energy inefficient and the range differences for abilities make no sense whatsoever. The fact that the smite inverse scaling made it to release shows that it wasn't maybe fully tested, or maybe they just missed that. Now I'm sorry if that sounds harsh, but I really like Oberon and I really wanted him to get a decent brush up, and he's supposed to be a paladin or a druid but doesn't feel anything like either of those. And remember, this is just all my opinion, nothing more, nothing less. Take it whatever way you want, but feel free to share your opinion below in the comment section of this video. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.